A good strong look. I appreciate that. You're too kind.
It's a good strong look
I
for you.
can't believe you didn't know what I was going for right away. You thought I was just
I
randomly.
don't know. That's a me thing. Don't mind me.
Okay,
I'm absent-minded.
that's you know what, that's right. That does happen. So, Lord knows I've done that before.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, oh yeah.
okay, let's
You had a
see.
busy week last week. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I am very curious to hear where you stand on the X-Men teams.
The
Like,
results? Yeah,
yes.
I'll share. I'll share who I voted for.
Okay. Good. All right. I would even love to go as far as to get your power rankings for the teams, top to bottom.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that.
Um.
Like I said in the group chat, I think you and Doc went a little too deep cut. They played the hits.
Yeah, they played the hits, but I mean, I really don't think I went deep cut. But you know all these people, so we'll see where I'm.
More so,
Mm,
more so than they did.
yeah, sure. I mean, yes, obviously, Goo. I mean, I just don't know how you vote for anybody who has Beast and Charles Xavier on your team, but
Well, it's a
that's
smart
just
group. That's a smart. They're figuring out problems.
sure with Wade Wilson alongside 1,000%. Magic always, and like Max said, Wolverine always follows everybody's orders.
Well, I don't want to speak for Goo here, but
Mm,
some could say that Professor X could just take over the minds of everybody in the group and just get them to do whatever they wanted.
wow. Another reason why you don't want to have him on your team because he's an asshole.
It's a Druid type situation,
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. That'd be an interesting tandem. I think I like Druid more though, but he's also newer. So
I don't think Druid. I have weird thoughts on it. Like I said, as we were
Hmm.
digesting Eternals and whether I want to go back and change, like I like the character because it makes me feel so many different types of ways.
Mm.
But he's an asshole. He just took over an
Oh, sure.
entire group of people and was like, "No, you're going to be working for me.
Knew I
I
forgot
know
about.
what's good for you."
Yeah, he is an asshole, but like Charles Xavier in some ways is kind of an asshole too if you look back through the years and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah,
And then kind of what's gone on recently with like Krakoa and stuff too. It's kind of like
but Professor X might be a mutant, but he is a human. Druig is a fucking robot. So
you know what? It's a good point that I continuously lose sight of because I am like I'm going to go ahead and say I'm the most anti AI person in the DSG.
I
I'm
know
pretty
you should have bombed Eternals
yeah.
just out of that alone.
Just said that alone. I should have.
Yeah, really die on that hill.
Yeah, for honestly, I would have been fine. And that's like one of those times where Eternal would have been safe because most people didn't like the Eternals. But I don't know. I guess in the end they won me over somehow. But
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. Those they gave a little bit of life to those robots there. If they can do it with Pixar with toys and whatnot, they can do it with robots in Marvel.
I gotta say a little thing before we get rolling too. For those who've been listening to our show pre DSG, back to all the way when we were at the WBSM studios, there's going to be a pretty big time callback late in this show that I am very excited for. I think you know what it is.
I know what it is.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure if you were going to remember it. I'm very happy that you remembered it too. So
Oh,
that's
for sure.
great.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, awesome.
I'm very excited to talk about that.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait for it. Let's without further ado.
Mhm.
Excuse me. Let me get this ready here. So neck out. Ow now, brown cow. From the teeth of the tongue. From the teeth of the tongue. Okay, let's go.
Ham.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. You've now entered the cage. Do you know why animals die in cages? Their souls die. Welcome back to another episode of Change My Mind. I am Wesley Sykes, and to the other side of the ether is Jeff Lowe, to my Tim Stark, Mr. Nicholas J. Esquire, nondescript businessman for hire.
Honestly, it's that has for all the things that like have gotten beaten over and over again, like from Tiger King, just calling Garrison businessman is still perfect every time.
The businessman, the investigator, or internet lawyer, and whatever, all these weird titles that these people give themselves in these true crime, murder, internet sleuth type things. It's great. The lower thirds, you really got to read them. They're funny.
I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about that guy, the internet sleuth guy. But it's funny when you said it, when you started doing your intro. Obviously, you do it in the similar format every time, week to week. I thought you were just going to say my Jeff Lowe. Like I'm Wes's Jeff Lowe. I thought you were gonna do that for a second there. Oh fuck, okay, it's like that.
No, but it's interesting. That quote there is, I'm now in a cage. Do you know why animals die in cages? Their souls die. That is what Joe Exotic has said from prison, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, because now he's in prison, so he's gonna make it all. Yeah, of course. I mean,
even on top of that, he has tigers in cages that he ran, that he said that he cared for, but then he said that knowingly that they're sold. So it's really like an interesting dichotomy of, I don't know, schizophrenia. I don't know what it is. Like two different thoughts there.
He's definitely got something going on there, but I gotta say, I think that I don't want to say he's a reflective person because I think that's giving him too much credit. You know, like I feel like
he's definitely a sympathetic character. People gravitate towards him.
I mean, he's still my favorite. I mean, look, he's a piece of shit, and he's definitely still, and he clearly still has slick back hair. But like, he's probably still my favorite character in the show.
We'll get to it. Yeah. If you haven't guessed by now, we're going to be discussing the follow-up documentary series to the cult sensation Tiger King, which of course is Tiger King 2, aptly named, now streaming on Netflix. But before we get to that, Nick, there's been a lot of Thanksgiving slander I've been seeing on the Twitter timeline recently, and I, for one, will not stand for it.
What?
But I need to know, where do you stand on Thanksgiving?
I absolutely love Thanksgiving. I think it depends on the year for me, whether it's my favorite holiday or my second favorite holiday, of course, to Christmas. But I think it kind of comes down to just who I'm going to see, because, my brother, he has his fiance, so he goes, there sometimes, so we mix it up. But other than that, like Thanksgiving is Christmas without the commercialism. So how do you not love that? If you like your family, how do you not love Thanksgiving? I'm blown away. I haven't seen any of this that you're talking about.
I've seen this. I saw Paul Pierce tweet something that Thanksgiving is an overrated holiday. I think Goo said something recently saying that he doesn't really care about Thanksgiving as much in comparison to the other holidays. Of course, Kyrie Irving said that it's not a real holiday, bro.
Kyrie's logic
he's
behind
kind of in a different basket.
As much as I disagree with him, his logic is like a little, as much as I feel weird saying this, is a little more founded. Like, if you want to say like it just as boring, like I think that's kind of just stupid. Like, you need to have presents for the holiday. But if you're like, I have a Native American background and it's all a bunch of hooey, you can call it conspiracy theory, sure, but I mean, at least makes a little more sense in my mind.
Yeah, he doesn't have to celebrate it, There's
yes.
I'm not Jewish. I'm not celebrating Hanukkah, but it still goes on.
Right. To say it's not a real holiday is stupid.
Crapping on Hanukkah, they both can coexist.
I'm not saying I agree with Kyrie. I just want to make that clear.
No. I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at the argument that you proposed. I'm shooting the messenger is what I'm doing.
That's fair. No, because I did kind of paint it as like I agree with him. It's not that. I just see I just see his line of logic. I don't agree with him whatsoever. I almost never ever agree with him.
I can't just even take any one minute of Thanksgiving slander. It's great. It's all food, right? You just hang around and eat. Maybe you go for a little jog in the morning. This is the first year that I won't have to be covering a high school football game. So
you did it last year too?
Last year was different. I kind of throw that out because all the COVID, like we didn't really even have a real Thanksgiving for a variety of reasons. So everything was all kind of mixed up. But now that this is all kind of back, I won't actually be having a football game to cover. So I don't know what to do with my morning. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been I think last year.
What do you do?
Maybe the year before. I don't know if I think about the year before, but it's been a long while, and I have no desire to cover those again. It's just. I like football, but it's just not that. Like, if it was baseball, it would be different. Like, I can understand that. We would have grown up with it and whatever. But for me this year, this is my first one away from my family. I'm going down to Connecticut with Lauren's family. So it's
really?
Yes. So it's a big one.
Wow. So this is a big step. So you're meeting like the extended family now.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah.
You're not going to wear that hat, are you?
Oh boy. I was. Wait a minute. What are you trying to say?
No, nothing. I told you it's a strong look.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I really wish I had the sunglasses to really put it together, because I felt like, so for those who didn't watch the pre-show or who were listening to us, Wes was caught off guard by my look when I first signed on to StreamYard when we were recording this. And I'm like, I knew if I had sunglasses, you would have looked and said, Nick's going for white trash. Instead, you think I'm going for cowboy with this. And that's not what it was.
Right. And I will also say in my defense that what you're wearing right now is not truly outside of the realm of possibility of what you're wearing. You're wearing just a normal shirt that you would wear with a cowboy hat.
And it is my own cowboy hat too. I
You
don't
do
own
own
it.
cowboy boots, so I feel like this is not really out of the realm.
Yeah, so it's
Multiple
not
pairs, if I'm not
right. So
mistaken.
like, where if it was Billy, it'd be clearly done sarcastically. That's why the sunglasses I feel like would have brought it home really well, because like we're indoors, Nick. Why are you wearing sunglasses? Are you trying to be a jackass radio host, or are you trying to be something else? And,
Oh.
then you wouldn't know.
Oh, I see. I see what you're throwing rocks here. I see what you're doing now.
I don't know.
Let's get over to trending now before we start any more fights here.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Fine. All right. My apologies. Where do you want to start?
This is a week later, but the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer came out a day after, or actually the day we released the audio version of the podcast. So,
Right. Of course.
a week late, but what do you think, Nick?
Yeah.
Good
I mean,
stuff. Good stuff
I'm
all the
all
way
in on
around.
this. The thing that I gotta imagine you were interested in this too. I didn't catch it right away, but the stuff with the lizard and the whole fight where we keep seeing that edited, right, where it's like he gets kicked or
Right.
punched in the face and then he's turning the other way.
It's obvious that the other two Spider-Men are in there. 100%. They just edited it out. They do that all the time.
It has to be. I mean, and that makes perfect sense. I've never. Okay, so I feel like you would know this better off the top of your head. Can you think of a moment where we've seen that in a trailer in the past where it's like they clearly cut something out and it's like, oh Jesus, like something else.
I'm happy you asked that. So it was the Avengers Endgame trailer when they show Tony Stark coming down from the Guardian ship there with Nebula. And it's everyone kind of reacting to him. And there was a clear space missing. And it was Pepper. It was Pepper Potts missing for whatever reason. But there was like 4 people. And it was like 2 to one side. And there was like another person on the other. And there was a clear spot missing in that. And it just looked off. And it was Pepper Potts.
Oh, okay. You think they did? I don't know if that rings a bell, but like vaguely, like, do we think that they did that because we didn't know their status with the blip?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I
Really?
forget what the stakes would have meant at that point, because we obviously know more than what we did at that point. Yeah, that's just how time works.
Right. But now I don't recall when we watched it, because I've since seen images of Jamie Foxx's Electro. I don't recall seeing that in the trailer. Maybe it's just me and just like kind of getting lost in the excitement or everything. But I saw our guy, Task, share an image of it, and it looks pretty awesome. It's definitely different from the comics, but I think it's a lot better than what we had in the Andrew Garfield.
Well, yeah, so you get the stills, right? And it's supposedly arc reactor technology, what looks to be arc reactor technology, and maybe even like Whiplash type stuff. Like that exoskeleton that he has kind of looks like that. But you also get that's a little bit, a little bit of a joke. I hope they're not really doing that. But you also get kind of the callback to the comic book look, right? With the star face and those stills there that they show, like the electricity that's shooting out of his face gives off that mask that he's wearing in the comic. So I love that kind of fresh take on him. Same thing with Doc Ock. Those his octopus tentacles, I guess, look to be that like Stark nanotech type stuff. So I wonder how that works.
You bring up the looks with the comics and everything, and I find it like you've brought it up before, and how like some of these characters just look absolutely ridiculous in the comics. We love X-Men, the animated series. Can't wait for the show and everything. Very excited about it. But some of the outfits that they wear, I mean, they've made jokes in the movies and thoughts about it. Like, what do you want me to wear? Yellow spandex? And it's funny, like I love it in the comics and I wouldn't change it. I'm fine with the changes over the years, and that's natural. But it is like, if you do live action, you absolutely like the Electro outfit, like Jamie Foxx and that shit, like the green and the big ass yellow fucking mask that's all shit there. No, I wouldn't want that for 1 second. It looks awful.
No, but it's a cool take on it. It's cool to pay homage to it too. Kind of like with the Vulture suit, right? Yeah, like the old guy with the Vulture suit. How are you going to really make that work? He's got the bomber jacket with the feathers on the top. Like that's a cool kind of nod to kind of give that illusion to it, but not actually look out of place.
Yeah, but and when they can do an allusion to it, that's awesome. Like I don't necessarily always expect it, because like with Electro, I wouldn't expect that they could figure that out, but they have, and that's great. And it's just and with the Vulture too, same thing. Like it's definitely paying homage to it, but you got to do your own thing, because the Vulture's another great call. That like Michael Keaton dressed like that would look awful. That character looks even weird in the comics, so that would look really weird in real life. But the other thing was too. You brought up Doc Ock, and it reminded me there were some people and I saw Casey retweet quite a bit of him. And actually, like, you know how he gets triggered by certain stuff. He was even triggering me a little bit, him sharing it, because it's like these people are complaining about Peter Parker and his friends laughing at Doc Ock's like real name, Otto Octavius. They thought that was funny. And people are getting mad about it. Like,
one of the people, I wouldn't get mad about it, but one of the people who are laughing at him is named Ned. So
yeah, oh yeah,
he's a kid named Ned. Like, what kid in 2021 is named Ned?
That's a fair point. Sure. I really hope they turn him into Hobgoblin. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, we brought that up when did we talk about it? Was it Homecoming?
Yeah. It's when we did the Homecoming rewatch vault. Yep.
Yeah, because we haven't done the second one yet for the rewatch.
No.
Okay. I think we're still a ways away. Anyways, but yeah, that was and I saw one person cite this, and Casey called him out right away. He laughs at this, but Peter Parker laughs at this, but we never saw him laugh at Rocket Raccoon's name. Wes, do you recall Spider-Man and Rocket Raccoon ever crossing paths?
No, but you would imagine that they would, right? Just because you don't see it happening, you would imagine that they would. He's aware of who Rocket Raccoon is.
It might have happened. He might be aware of him, but we've never seen them cross paths, right?
The funeral? Tony Stark's funeral?
But I don't think nobody talked there. And
was yeah, but they're in the same room at that point.
Well, what I'm saying is, like,
it's not like there's a battle going on where they're like predisposed at the moment. Like, yeah, they're in a closed setting, like sharing drinks at that point, I would imagine. More
sure, but we never saw them talk at any point, is what I'm saying. So there was never a moment where it was like he had a chance to laugh at his name. I just think it's when you go and complain about something like that, it's like, do you actually know who Spider-Man is? Like, have you ever read Peter Parker Spider-Man comic, like, or have you seen Peter Parker in the cartoon from when we were kids? Because he does stupid shit like that all the time.
Yeah, I guess I think I love Casey. He just probably needs to log off at that point. Just put the phone down at that point.
I agree with you that he could spend a little less time on Twitter, but I was actually annoyed by it too. It's just like, well, wait a minute, you like people taking cheap shots at Marvel. It's like, well, this is what happens. Yeah. It's always been this way.
What I will say, what I did enjoy was our MJ doing a nice little dad joke there. I love getting that. When Doctor Strange is telling him to go do something, and it's like, I know a few magic words that get a lot of things done. It starts with please. Oh, that's nice. That's really good. That hit me in the funny bone.
Okay, so you were the first one that I heard, unless Goo said it first. I've been giving you this credit the whole time. Goo was not the one to say that we think that the evil Doctor Strange is going to show up in the Spider-Man movie.
We both discussed that. I know Goo has said that as well, but I'm not sure. We might have discussed that on our award-winning MCU Disney Plus show podcast, MCU at Home.
Right. Okay. So now known as Hot Guys on Hawkeye. And I am very excited for that. I'm going to continue to give you credit for that because one person had to come up with the idea. So I'm going to continue to give it to you. Are you still convinced that is going to be the Doctor Strange that we see, or at least that Doctor Strange is going to show up in the course of it?
I'm leaning towards that way. There's a lot of funny business, whether he is a Skrull or something. There's something afoot with Doctor Strange.
Absolutely. I think that you're right with what you originally thought, not necessarily the Skrull theory.
But what I will say, everyone who's like, this is such a stark character change, complete 180 and kind of a character of what we've known Doctor Strange to be, kind of tightened up and rigid and not really that fun. And he's kind of loosened up a little bit. That was what we said about Thor up until Thor Ragnarok, where he was completely reimagined and kind of repurposed to the MCU. So maybe that's just kind of, as we're seeing Doctor Strange kind of propel more to the forefront of the MCU and be kind of like the foreman of it, with Iron Man, Captain America, all those big guys kind of going to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that could be something interesting. Like maybe they're just making him a little bit more fun, a little bit more lighter too. So I wouldn't rule that out as a possibility.
That would be. I think that's a fair line of logic. That would be an odd choice, though. I think that he should always be kind of a dick. But Cumberbatch could pull it off, I think. But I do think that would be an odd choice.
I do too. I'm just saying that maybe that's a possibility because I don't think any of us were really expecting that with Thor until we
Right.
saw that trailer and was like, oh my God, what is this going to be?
Definitely a fair possibility because also when I consider Thor versus Doctor Strange too, I look at them from a comic book perspective. Two characters is like okay, like definitely when you're talking about big time shit, you want to have them there and they serve good as in a like complementary role in terms of like dialogue and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about like just them, I know Shime really like Donny Cates on Thor, but it's just in general I'm like okay, whatever. So if you want to mess around with them a little bit in the MCU and make them maybe a little more fun. That could work. Yeah, that's not a bad call. But I still think your first take is your better take of the two.
Well, I'll go with that one. We'll stick with No Way Home for a moment here as
Ooh.
we stay in the MCU rumor mill, so to speak. And we're talking about
Mm.
Daredevil here. Of course, we're going to be really going back to that MCU rumor mill episode with Casey Walsh here over the next couple of weeks because there was a lot of little nuggets and everything here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we keep calling back to that episode. But
Mm.
calling back to that episode, this was something that he had mentioned. And per binge watch this _
Mm.
they also seem to have a little bit of news of this that Charlie Cox and his Daredevil character are reportedly signed up to the MCU for 4, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4
Nice.
titles. Those titles are reportedly Spider-Man No Way Home, She-Hulk, Echo, and stay with me here, standalone Daredevil movie.
Absolutely. All in on that. Those all make perfect sense too.
It's hot in here.
Yeah, of course. You know what? I don't know. Did you
Flustered.
see the other Billy D do that like quick little Photoshop of like a Law and Order thing, and it would be Daredevil and She-Hulk?
That was a joke that I said.
Was that from?
Yeah,
us?
that was from a News Dump episode. I said Dick
Oh,
Wolf
it
should be
was
next
from News Dump. That's where it came
executive
from.
producer.
I'm so sorry.
Marvel Victim Units.
I
Yeah.
think that's a great. I think okay. Well, then another great idea from Wes. My apologies.
You just brought it to life. You did a great job bringing it to life.
Well, it was a great idea. First and foremost, you need to have the ideas first. I would watch the shit out of that. Make that into an animated series. Make it into a live action thing and do it with different an actor and actress, like that, whatever. Like make that into a thing. It's a great idea, Wes. Anyways, but No Way Home, you're putting him with Spider-Man. They partner up a ton, obviously in New York. She-Hulk obviously makes perfect sense as well. The Echo one, I cannot wait for that because it seems this is a character.
Now remind me who she is again. What's the connection to Daredevil?
She is Wilson Fisk's stepdaughter.
Got it.
So I'm very, and this is a character who I don't know a whole lot about, but she is also deaf. So kind of like, you got blind versus the deaf. I think that's an interesting kind of mix.
Mm-hmm.
And
look at that.
And I cannot wait to I got to read more on this character. This is a character I'm not very familiar with. So when you see Echo brought into the fray, though, you know right away, okay, Daredevil's coming. And we all know Daredevil's coming. It's just a matter of who is playing the character.
Now Echo is a female, correct?
Yes.
So does Daredevil and Echo get together, make a baby, and that baby is Anne Frank, who is both blind and deaf?
Jeez. Okay, I thought you were going to say okay. Well, there are a couple ways you could have gone with that. Anne Frank
I think you needed the Flash to come in and kind of do his reverse Flash time.
Did you say Anne Frank or did you say Helen Keller?
Anne Frank, Helen Keller. That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
That's
wow. That really could have went to a bad turn there. Thank you for saving me on that one.
It took me a second to I was gonna. Jesus.
Woo.
I thought you were gonna say that the kid was gonna be born mute. But you went that way. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah. No, that probably would have been a safer route.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, look, Daredevil coming into the mix. Obviously, this is one of the most popular characters in Marvel history, period. And we obviously with Ben Affleck and everything didn't do that great. And Charlie Cox was awesome. I would love it seems like all signs are pointing to him coming back, whether it's Casey talking about it or binge watch this. So I'm very excited. And it's interesting that they want to try and make him have a standalone movie when we've seen him in a show, because Wes, what we're seeing right now is, of course, you have Spider-Man and you got to have him on the big screen. But with Marvel, it looks like we're going more cosmic and more like mystical magic. And those are the two directions that we seem to be trending in, with Guardians and then now the Eternals and then Doctor Strange and Wanda and all that stuff. And then with the show, the only grounded thing we really have right now, because Loki's kind of in between the two, I guess more cosmic. The only grounded thing we have right now is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I guess going to be Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Either way. So it's interesting to see Daredevil's going to get his own movie. I would think they'd still want to kind of keep him the show out with Moon Knight going to be there too.
Give me all the ground level villains. I'm kind of out.
Oh,
They're starting to lose me with the cosmic stuff and like Eros and the Black Knight and the Mystic and like I don't know.
even the Mystic?
I'm starting to lose out of it. What's that?
Even the Mystic, you're a little bit out on.
Kind
Okay.
of less so than the cosmic, but I'm
Yeah.
here for a good grounded, shoot me up, fight them up, kind of beat them up sort of thing.
Yeah, I tend to be I'm totally cool with the Mystic stuff. Like, give me Black Knight with that, and then you're gonna have Blade coming in on that too. As much as he's kind of feels like a ground level vibe too, because he's gritty. But I think with Mystic, there's a lot there, and I'm fine with Loki as much as he's cosmic because it feels like kind of adjacent to Mystic. But when we
Hmm.
start going too far beyond the Guardian shit, the Eternals is good. I don't need another Eternals movie. Like that for sure. Like, you can have those characters come back and everything. I don't need another movie out of them. So
Yeah,
uh,
I agree with you here. But give me stuff with Daredevil. I'm excited too. And what this also seems to be leading up to is a return of Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson
yes,
Fisk. So
yes.
he was rumored to be appearing in the Hawkeye series, which would make sense, kind of leading up to Echo and everything like that, to her own show. So you kind of see the connective tissue. We love that term here on the
Hmm.
program here, starting to form a little bit with these Disney Plus shows.
Did you see Vincent D'Onofrio quote tweet the trailer of Hawkeye?
Yeah, what did he say? It was like it's going to be a really good show or something like
Yeah.
that. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah,
Or
really loving these Disney Plus Marvel shows, something to that
hmm.
effect. Yeah, so it's yeah, and he was great in that role. Like, as much as I like Charlie Cox as Daredevil, I think, and I think I'm gonna go rewatch those Netflix shows if those are still there. But I think the D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk was probably the best casting. Bernthal was really good too. There's some really
Quick
good casting in
question
those
for you:
movies.
what would you rather do if you were an actor? Get in shape for like a Marvel superhero role, like Kumail Nanjiani did, or have to like gain weight for a role, like you would presume, like Wilson Fisk or something like that, or who was it? Christian Bale as who was it? Donald Rumsfeld, the vice president there. Dick
Uh,
Cheney. Dick
Dick
Cheney.
Cheney, yes. You are all over the place with these.
That was the same cabinet, that was the same
Sure,
presidency.
sure,
I was close to it.
absolutely, very close. But I think I would rather go the fit route, just because I know from day to day, as much as there's going to be some level of exhaustion, you're going to feel better moving around. Whereas, like, you go and put on those pounds, like, you're just going to feel like a slob. I couldn't deal with that.
You're probably right. You probably have the right answer. I think the first couple weeks though, like maybe the first week of getting fat for getting paid to get fat, like that would
Mhm.
be kind of fun.
That would be fun. Hey, all I got to say is credit to Goo for committing to that, because I know it's not easy. So I respect him for taking on that challenge.
Oh, I love the segue here. That was nice too. A nice smear campaign of a segue. Nick, you've been a regular Mel Kiper this week with the drafts.
Huh.
Of course, we have you most recently appearing on the Mac and Goo program's X-Men draft with the TLDR podcast. So, why don't you tell me about that a little bit? Tell me about that experience.
Well, I'll tell you what. I got a little vulgar, and
Yeah, no, but you did. You
yeah,
think, huh?
just a little bit, and not intentional. I've been on Mac and Goo before doing news dumps like you, and doing other shit. And I don't normally, how vulgar I get on this show. It's pretty much the same level as I do on TLDR. It's like, it's moderate, right?
Yeah, no, I think you just got swept up. It was just guys being guys.
I just got really excited, I think, but I actually, after the fact, felt a little bad because I forgot Goo to broadcast those things on WBZ. So, like, if he plans on doing it with that episode, he has to go back and edit it a ton, because I dropped a lot of F bombs.
Yeah, I don't
And
think he'll be doing that, right? I don't think he'll be doing that one anytime soon.
I don't, I mean, I would imagine not, but I don't know. They got to do something every week. So, I mean, I'm kind of sorry, but I'm not that sorry.
Well, I'll
Like,
tell you what you should be sorry for is your draft performance. With 175 votes and 2 days left to vote,
hmm.
you are garnering 7.4% of the audience right now. That's
Well,
good for last place right now.
yeah,
It's tough.
honestly, I'm not upset about that at all. I love my team. Like Max said it in the middle of the draft, like, you want to love your team. If there was one thing I would change, because I did say in the group chat I wouldn't change anything. There is one thing, because Mac raised a point when I picked Domino, where I think it was him or it was Joe that said you
Hmm.
could have waited a little longer and gotten her like last, and that would have been the only thing, because as much as I like Bishop, I absolutely wanted Gambit over Bishop. Probably should have taken Gambit a little bit sooner. Could have snuck and probably could have waited on Emma Frost. Like she's definitely a second round talent, but gotta know who you're going against too. Probably could
Sure,
have
got to know
gone.
your audience.
Probably could have gone Gambit there, then gone Psylocke third round. When I got her was a steal, then Emma Frost, then Domino would have been fine. I wanted X-23. That was the one character who I really wanted that I didn't get. Joe stole her from me. Probably would have knocked Domino out of it for me, but I still like. I know we talked about different things when you're considering these teams in the voting process, but I still don't think my team loses against any of those squads at all.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm surprised. I shouldn't say I'm surprised that Goo's winning there because he's got a couple of big names there with Wolverine and Deadpool. I went Mac with this one. You got a clear leader with Cyclops. You got a strong guy. You know, I feel very defined roles with Mac. Strong guy with Colossus. A bit of a wild card with Gambit. All out power brute with Jean Grey, and then you got a transporter, a Nightcrawler, right? So you can take you anywhere. So you got like kind of all your bases kind of covered there. I like that.
I can't fault you for voting for Mac. I feel like I say this every time I have a vote with Mac.
And I love a Nightcrawler too. I'm kind of a sucker for him.
Well, and you like Cyclops a lot too, right?
I do like well, I like the outfit. I don't really like him. He's kind of a douche.
Okay. Thank you, because when he picked Cyclops, I was like, you want Cyclops? I get it with Jean, kind of.
He's a good leader, though.
Is he a good leader? I don't really know. I mean, you read X-Men versus Avengers. You saw what he was like then with the Phoenix power.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. So either way, I still think if you're not going to vote for me, voting for Mac makes the most sense. I like Joe's team. But I just like when you throw Mystique in there, I feel like it messes up a lot. It's a quality team. You know, X-23 is great. Obviously, everybody's like all over Iceman. Like, I don't know where that's coming from. I get Rich like an Iceman because that was his favorite as a kid. But other than that, like,
he's cool. Fine. I mean, the idea of Iceman is kind of cool, you know. He's just riding around on an ice wave all the time.
Sweet dad joke, Wes. Come on, you're better than that. Unbelievable. He's cool. Okay, we get it.
Oh, well, I didn't even mean to do that, actually. That was pretty good.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Sure. Yep, okay. Anyways, I stand by, like, Rogue is criminally underrated. I take her 1-1. I think my team, maybe I couldn't have done anything about X-23. I mean, Joe was going to take Rogue, and I want Rogue over X-23, and then Gambit's the only thing that I guess I kind of messed up on, but I don't think that make or breaks my team in terms of talent. You want to talk about in terms of name brand recognition? Sure, like absolutely, Goo has that advantage over everybody, but I wasn't kidding. Like I have no time for Beast whatsoever. Charles Xavier is about as vanilla as it gets.
Yeah, I don't really get Beast. Charles Xavier is he's a controller.
Control freak, yeah, sure. Control freak, absolutely. Control freak. I would 100% back
Well, when you got a couple of wild cards in Wolverine and Deadpool, you know, you got to really overcompensate.
Right. So, look, if you want to, again, I think that Mac's team is really good. I think Jean Grey is obviously is a great pick, and then Colossus is a very underrated character, and Mac got him very late in the draft. But I think that in the end, if you're talking about name recognition, yeah, Goose team wins that. But if you're talking about a team that's going to win and a team that's going to be fun, I still think my team's the best one. And I love my team. So I really don't feel bad about losing it at all.
I'll go Mac, you, Goo, Doc.
I shouldn't have made my defense beforehand because I feel like you're trying to be nice to me.
That's why would you think that?
Because you feel bad when people call you out for being mean to me?
Because you lost 2 straight polls this week, and maybe I just don't want to bruise your ego that much, okay? Maybe that's it. Because we also had our 1999 Build a Cinema draft featuring Chris Scheim of WEI, of course, Scheim Time, and Billy D of the Pop Culture Pile Driver podcast. Is that a thing?
Communism podcast, which is actually still a thing, apparently.
Okay, that is a thing. That's good.
But
it's good that he won because Billy won in a tight vote with 35% of the vote to Nick's 31%. Very close. Myself coming in third, which is the spot where I always say I don't want to be, 24%. And then Scheim kind of pulling a Fry Guy performance in the X-Men draft there with just 9% of the vote.
I'll tell you what, I think that this went well. I think it made the voting made a lot of sense. I do still like my cinema over Billy's, and I hope that you still like yours over Billy's too. But
I would think that immediately after the draft, that everyone thought that I was going to be coming last.
I I didn't think you were going to win.
I think Scheim really likes to pump himself up a little bit. He's a real bravado.
Okay. When Billy said it was a 2-horse race, I thought he was trying to say that it was him and Scheim. What?
2-man horse.
2-man horse. My apologize. That was fucking unbelievable. That was so fucking funny. You want to talk about accidental slip of the tongue? Oh my god, that was great. But I think Billy thought it was him and Scheim, and it was like, if you want to say you and Wes, like that's fine. I can understand that. I wasn't threatened by your lineup. I thought you still had a good one, but I didn't think it was going to win.
It's quality. It's a quality lineup.
It is a quality lineup. Scheim had no chance. You took what was that? The James Bond movie that I think most people aren't going to care about, and then you have the Star Wars Phantom Menace, which Tarzan. I like, but I'm not gonna like. That's where I want to pick a roster that I like, but at the same time, if I can win, I would like to. And I don't like Star Wars Phantom Menace enough to go and like throw the draft completely. That's what he did when he took that pick, 100%.
Now, what I'm seeing here is that after doing the 1999 draft, where you had a good crop of problematic movies, your Boondock Saints, your Fight Clubs, and whatnot. I can see you follow that up again, trying to go the other way, balance things out a little bit by going with a female-heavy X-Men lineup here. So I like that.
Right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm just a balanced person in general. And I just like what I like, I guess, at the end. I don't know. I had people calling me out. Like Goose said I was pandering. No,
the regular panda bear, huh?
Apparently, so I don't know what I mean. Like, I like.
Well, apparently you weren't. I don't know who you're pandering to, right?
Yes, I don't know. Thank you, I appreciate it. I
7% of the vote. that small corner of the X-Men group.
Yes, but Billy had a look. Billy, whoever had first overall pick. If you lost the 1999 draft, as much as there were a ton of really good movies, because we all had really deep rosters, if you lose the 1999 draft with the first overall pick, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
The Matrix,
definitely coming back around. It would have been Fight Club for me personally, but I think coming back around on the wheels where he made his turn of what was it here? What were his 2 other movies? I think he had Cruel Intentions and Office Space back to back.
Yep, great picks.
And I was like, and that really sealed it up. And then whatever that number 1 pick was there, you hammer that turn to go with that number 1 pick. I think that's a slam dunk.
I thought he lost it with Go. I really did, because I was like, I've never heard of it.
It would have been a runaway. It had been anything else. I don't know even know what that movie was.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like the fact that you and I were on his heels as much as we were, because I was 5% off, and then you were 9% off. The fact
like that, yeah,
we were that close just shows like Billy won that draft. I'm here giving him credit. Billy won that draft because of the luck of the draw. If Billy doesn't have the Matrix, he loses that draft. Period.
I know. I think he got the first pick the last time too, so we might have to rig that.
I was gonna say, should I fix it next time?
Yeah. I think we should wink.
Okay, all right, sounds like a plan. I'm totally down for fucking Billy over anytime.
I know. I don't have to ask twice. That's great.
That's for damn sure. Is that
I think that's it. Let's head over to your minute here.
Okay, so got quite a few books that I'm excited about this week. So from DC, we have Batman Reptilian issue 6, which has been a really interesting experience because actually you're going to appreciate this. I need to tell you this. So I read this, and it's Garth Ennis, right? Who's obviously, he wrote The Boys. He's a satirical writer, likes to poke fun at a lot of shit. And I'm reading Batman, not thinking, he's going to go and poke fun at shit. When in reality, and then I'm reading this like, oh my God, he made Batman into such an asshole. I love this. It's like so for so long, he's been kind of like, it just felt like he's not really leaning into the grittiness, and it's just too. Okay. As much as I like a lot of different runs, then I find out that it's supposed to be satirical. It's supposed to be a commentary on how Batman picks on the criminally insane and the mentally ill and all this shit, and how Batman's just a dick at the end of it. And I find this out midway through, and I'm like, well, shit. What does this say about me?
You were reading it in the wrong tone the whole time, huh?
Yes, yeah. Reading exactly. And I went and reflected on it. I was like, okay, no, this is still really good. It's still really well done because he absolutely did all that. But I just didn't look into it beforehand. So it's still funny, but there was a little bit of a lull throughout the series. This last issue is the end of the whole thing. I thought he landed the plane well, but we'll talk about it more on TLDR as I hit my microphone. Jesus.
I like that. That's like the old I Am Legend switcheroo.
Yeah, exactly. Then we got Gunslinger Spawn issue 2. Really excited about this series. Reviewed it for Geeks Worldwide. You guys will be able to hear more about that on the show on TLDR. And then Marvel this week. week has a series of number ones. We got Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, number one. We've seen Kate Bishop, of course, as Hawkeye in Marvel, but this is a new series, of course, in accordance with the show. Black Panther issue 1, and then the Hulk, which is written by, I mentioned him earlier, Donny Cates. So I'm very excited to sink my teeth into that one because he was doing Venom. Really did a kick-ass job over there. As for TLDR this week, Joe is talking Robin, which is his surprise series of the year because Damian Wayne never thought he would have loved it. Wow. And then X-Men 92. I'm going to be talking about that series in light of all the X-Men stuff we've been doing, whether it's us breaking news, doing stuff on Mac and Goo, all that shit. So it's I
think we figured out the common denominator to go viral here, and we've talked about this off air before, and it's just the X-Men.
Yep, absolutely. Got to talk as much X-Men as you can. People love it. People are craving it, and it's
apparently.
I mean, I want the X-Men too.
So. I do too. So hey, give the people what we want. Give us what we want, huh?
Absolutely. Speaking of giving the people what they want, I think now it's time to move on to the main topic for today. Nice,
solid. I like it. Which of course is Tiger King 2, an exit survey. This was a 5-episode look back into the world of Joe Exotic, Carol Baskin, and company to see what they've been up to since the airing of the original docu-series and filling in some of the blanks along the way, some of the big questions that we've had after the first viewing. So there we have it. That's the synopsis that I put together on my own.
Okay. Really?
That. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. I got to say,
not too bad.
Seeing the written version, it felt very professional. Well done, sir.
I could do it. I could do it. You know,
concise, to the point. Wow, look at you. IMDb or IMBD, whatever you're into.
I am a DB.
Okay, there you go. So perfect. What are you guys fucking waiting for? Why haven't you hired West yet?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna let you go first with the tweet length review and score here. It feels more appropriate.
Okay, so I gave this an 89 out of 100. Things got off to a strong start, and they ended well. But I wish they'd condensed the second and third episodes down.
Okay, yeah. So I have this as a. I know we're a review podcast reviewing. You know, for a living. I didn't finish it, so I have a not applicable out of a 100. I'm 2.5 episodes in, and it's much better than I anticipated. I thought I was not going to care about this at all. But the highs of the first season will never be replicated, much like chasing the white dragon for that first heroin high. You know, it's never going to be the same.
I couldn't agree with you more, especially the heroin analogy. Definitely can relate to that 100%.
Right, of course.
So let me ask you, though. I know when we settled on this, you were like, yeah, let's do it because we didn't really have anything else going on. I know Ghostbusters is out this weekend, and you were kind of interested because Paul Rudd, we're both, in reality, iffy on it. Why did you not feel like you needed you needed this at all?
I felt like it's so much time has passed between it. We just moved on from it. You know, it was beaten to death with the Joel McHale. Like I hated the Joel McHale thing. I think David Spade did something similar as well with a couple of the people. You know, they all started making like the night TV rounds. The Joe Exotic getting pardoned from it just kind of stayed in the cycle. The Nick Cage doing the movie, then that getting canned. Like,
thank God.
I was just sick of hearing about Joe Exotic and about these real low lives is what it boils down to. But there is that certain aspect of a murder mystery, true crime, documentary type thing that I admittedly love. Like if I'm a sucker for anything in the algorithm, that's what gets me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know that for sure. So then in reality, as you're working your way through the 2 middle episodes that I kind of had a problem with, you probably like those episodes quite a bit more.
I'm big on, I could care less about the first episode, right? Where it's kind of like Joe Exotic and what everyone's kind of doing and what they think about Joe Exotic. Don't really care about that all that much, but I found the Don Lewis stuff very interesting. Very interesting.
It was interesting. I don't want to jump too far ahead. There is a spoiler that I'm worried about me telling. Well,
you spoil everything for me, Nick.
Okay, you're gonna feel differently about the Joe Exotic adjacent stuff when you get to the end of episode 3. But we're already kind of talking about our first question that we have as we go through our exit survey. Did we need this? And now that we have it, do you want it? I felt like, so I definitely am glad that I have it. Absolutely 100%. And I think I will want a little bit more because they left it kind of open ended at the end of this where we could we get more on Joe Exotic? Is he going to get freed? The developments with Alan Glover make it seem like we should get another 5 episode thing. Don't make it more than that. Don't make
Another 5 episodes?
You can do 3. I mean, like you can condense it down. I don't need more of the Carol Baskin stuff. We've gotten enough of that. Did we need this? No. Okay, so yes and no. In the end, I guess gun to my head, I want to say yes because of the Alan Glover developments. Because what happened with the documentary series, the original one, it forced him to change his tune and everything. I guess because as we learn, like he was lying about some of the shit that had to do with Joe and the murder for hire.
Oh wow, okay. In the trial or in the documentary?
Both.
Oh, wow, okay.
In the original docu-series, he lied about Joe and all the stuff that he did and how it was planned. And we find out too, West, in the course. Again, I know I'm spoiling things for you, but you've given me the green light.
Mhm.
He had a plan to kill Joe too.
Oh.
Yes. Jeff had
Oh.
set up a plan, and I think it was before the it was before they tried to get him to do the Carol Baskin hit, before they could try to get Joe, and they were setting up a wire on Joe Exotic's farm. It was the GW farm, and they were setting up a wire and hoping that he was going to ride around in a quad runner or whatever, and then he was going to go through the wire. Just need to be, what was it Alan said? He needs to be like 35 miles an hour, and his head would pop off.
Oh my God. I've heard about like people doing that before, like lining up like fishing wire and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And like, yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy.
And they found the wire that Alan.
I believe that.
Alan took Joe's attorney and said, like, I'll find the wire and where like I buried it, and you'll see, like, this is the wire. And then he found it.
That John Phillips guy is a real character, though. That's Joe Exotic's lawyer. He was someone who really jumped out at me. But okay, so I don't think we need this, just to square up the question here before we get too deep down the rabbit hole. I don't think we needed this, but I am kind of happy that we got this because, again, I was very interested with some of the strings that they were pulling on with the Don Lewis stuff that got me interested in it. Now, again, I don't really care about Carol Baskin. It seems like we might owe her an apology through some of this, but she still seems like I feel like she might know something, you know.
I think that's the perfect way to put it. In the end, she knows something. I don't, because as we're going through it, you're on episode 3. I'm like, I don't need all this extra stuff with Carol. Like, she's not really there, not really talking that much. I can't tell if it's new footage with her and her husband, who is the worst, by the way. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
I know you hate him.
Yeah, the absolute cuck of the century there. But and they have like I think some of these quote unquote experts that they're interviewing, the detectives or these nondescript titles that they have here on some of these lower thirds.
Yeah.
Like the person who is doing the reviewing all of the of Carol's diaries, like video diaries. Right? Like, wasn't he some sort of like body language expert or like something like that?
Yeah, they brought in quite a few random ass people in this. I'll tell you what.
And like, but I kind of enjoyed that one though. I thought that was kind of interesting, just because she was saying on specific days, and then like the one day that she was didn't have the journal or wasn't dated in there was the day that he went missing, and it's kind of interesting.
But I'm in agreement with you on the larger, like, I'm glad that we got a better picture of Don Lewis. Like, we know, like, this guy, like, all jokes aside, was kind of a piece of shit. Obviously, he
seems like, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, like the handler and like the driver and everything at one point was like, he's got money and he's got, he's a nice guy and he's charming. Why wouldn't women want to be around him? And then he was like, yeah, he was always hanging around 13-year-olds, like in the very next breath. So it was like weird that, I don't know. At one point he's like, yeah, like, what women wouldn't want to be around him? And then, I don't know. It didn't seem to add up from that guy. I'm not sure if he was the most reliable narrator.
That's fair. But we knew when we learned about him and Carol and how they kind of got together, she was very, very young and he was not when they had gotten together. So like that kind of thing.
That does fit. Yeah.
Yeah, it does fit. But now we know, like, okay, so this guy was kind of a dink, and there's a good chance that he ended up doing something that, like, it wasn't Carol that led to his demise.
Flying in all the cash and everything and trying to move the money down. And then like they would cut to the kids, and the kids were like, well, yeah, he was just trying to get his money away from Carol, which was probably true.
Yes.
I think probably not the only reason.
I think Carol is really just at the end of it all. I think Carol Baskin is probably just an asshole at most. She's just like,
Bad people tend to find bad people, you
yep.
know, and like I think they gravitate towards each other in a certain sense, you know. So I
Mhm.
think that they are both of that similar world, but just maybe different types of bad.
Right. And not to get like too like caught up in like semantics, but like when you're like we have like there's an asshole in Carol Baskin, right? But then when you look like Jeff Lowe, he's a piece of shit. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you look at Don Lewis, based on what we learned, it seems like he's even worse, just because of he's dealing with all the underage women and all that
Human
kind of stuff.
trafficking and everything like that,
Yeah.
because
So
which is
it's a
crazy
lot.
because like
It's terrible.
that was such a hard turn. I remember watching it and
Yeah.
I'm like this guy is awesome. I'm like going down like watching. He's like trying to get away from Carol Baskin. Like he's just wants to like get all his money away, laundering money, whatever. That's fine. You don't want to give your money to taxes. I don't
Right.
have a problem to that. So
Right.
whatever you got to do, and then it comes out that he's like working with the mob, and then he might be doing human trafficking. And then I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yep.
this is a
Yep.
hard turn here.
Yep, absolutely. So like excuse me, I'm glad that we learned all of that about him. Definitely gives a better perspective and it's okay. So maybe Carol knows something at the end of it all and that's it. And if that's all you want to end it at, fine. But when we start getting too much into her and everything with it, it's just like
Yeah.
I kind of got annoyed with that. I'm like, I don't like this woman. There's something there, but it's really just not as much as we initially made it out to be. Her versus Joe is entertaining still, but that's
The
really it.
what I thought was the most compelling like evidence, quote unquote, that was brought forward was the duplication of the signatures, right? Like
Very
on
true.
the will, and how
Very
that
true.
was on every single
Excellent point.
signature, it looked to be the same, like
Mhm.
identical. Which hand experts or whatever handwriting experts were like, no, you can't do that.
Mhm. That's actually a really good point. That was 1,000%. That was totally forged. I mean,
And then they cut to Carol, and she's like, "I had other experts, come in and certify this." And I'm like, "How do?
sure,
Where are these experts? Like, I'm an
sure, sure.
expert, right?
Oh
Like,
my
for all I
god,
know."
like you talk about like unreliable narrator, right? Like who wouldn't want to be with Don Lewis, and then the next second there's this. So
Mm-hmm.
all of these people, pretty much, like with the exception of maybe some of these local reporters, like there's probably like maybe a couple people though that like are actually in the mess that are like reliable, but other than that, it's pretty much just the reporters. Everybody else is just like, what the fuck is the matter with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's a whole cesspool of shit.
Yes, 100%.
A whole cesspool of shit.
A bunch of friggin' monsters. But like I got like and then as we move to the most compelling episode, so for you, it's absolutely episode 2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's the end of episode 3 because I believe that's where we got the Alan Glover admission that like Joe shouldn't be in jail. This is the guy who you remember, Wes.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely hated him more than maybe anybody that we saw in this show. Alan Glover hated
Right.
Joe Exotic. So he goes and admits like he shouldn't be in jail. He feels bad about it. He's got to make it
So
right
why did he admit to it, or why did he lie? I mean,
because his conscience had got why? Because he hated him at the time. He was so mad with him. He was so frustrated with him. And then
it wasn't like Jeff gave him money or anything like
And
that,
then
or
Jeff, well, he was gonna say, and Jeff like kind of coerced him into doing it
mm-hmm.
and gave him the nudges in the right places. But then he said, like, in the end of it all, he felt like he got used by Jeff just like Joe did. So it's like, and of course you did. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why he wants to go and fuck Jeff over, I guess, in a way too. And then Garrettson, I think, is now kind of like, no, I'm sorry, who is it? Is at the end of it all, Jeff Lowe and his wife are now Team Joe. Like they flat out, I said like whatever the slogan is, like Team Joe. They said they're on his side now, and I forget, and I'm blanking on the reason why at the moment, but it's just like, what the fuck is the matter with you guys? It's absolutely absurd.
What was the deal with, I forget his name, but the guy who was trying to raise all that money for the Free Joe Exotic Fund? Not it wasn't it was the friend of the lawyer.
Oh, like the cowboy kind of guy who then,
Yeah, yeah, who
yeah,
had the like super stretch limo waiting for him, and like all the
yeah.
decals painted on all the
He
trucks
was
and everything.
he was a lot, and I think Joe said at the end too, like as things were kind of going on, he was like they were trying to do a little bit too much with the limo. Oh my god! And they went to the Trump rally stuff and everything. What happened with
Right,
the
the
Capitol?
January 6th stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was that one woman who's just like chirping them, and it's like,
Yeah.
no one cares about Joe Exotic here. You're not here. You're not for the right reasons. Like, okay, like
It's funny when you're getting like kicked out of a January 6th riot, because like nobody wants you there. Like you're deemed lower than the rioters.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
they're like, ah, geez.
No one cares.
I guess we got to find a Waffle House. I don't know. Let's get something to eat. You know, like, what are we doing? Just pack up and go.
Fucking rock bottom. You're getting
Yeah,
kicked out of that
it's pretty bad.
shit for bringing a Joe Exotic flag. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough moment there. But again, like, yeah, I think somebody raised. I don't know who.
That would be the
who it
best
was who
moment of the
said it.
series when you think about it.
Yeah, I know it
What
really
a
was
joke.
because they were just like rolling up the signs, like, let's go someplace else.
Yeah, I mean, go someplace.
But like, what someone I don't know who it was who said it, but they were like, what is this person gaining from helping Joe? Like, why is he so passionate to Joe Exotic? He never met Joe. They weren't friends. There was no relationship.
No, I agree with you there, and they kind of died off with him. Like you saw everything with that character, because we never see him again. Obviously, the lawyer again, and I had to think like any of these people dealing with this stuff, you don't trust them at all. I mean, they talk about all the animal people that are nuts, but there's other people in this where it's like, Phillips, like he's got to be, he's got to think like I'm going to become Joe's manager at the end of all this. Like there's going to be something for me, and I'm not just doing it strictly out of the goodness of my heart. And I thought that guy probably looked at it in a similar way. Like I'm going to go and be maybe not a business partner with Joe, but I can go and be a marketer for him and make some money off of that too. Which is weird because like in the course of the first Tiger King, the original one, we all saw like freaking Joe like underpaid all of his people and was an asshole, and he fired people. I know
it was a House of Cards, smoke and mirror type shell game with money, right? I think it was it wasn't exactly cash, heavy.
Absolutely. So
not
like
exactly liquid.
But again, a lot of these people that we're dealing with are odd individuals who just like can't put two and two together, and it's just a mess constantly with them.
But you mentioned, the money and the finances. Apparently, I saw this in Forbes magazine. A little light reading for myself over the weekend.
Brag.
Joe Exotic, he's apparently getting help with his legal fees from this like new cryptocurrency that's surging, quote unquote. It's Tiger King,
of course.
T King. If you want to search it out on your crypto.com, your Coinbase.
There's a crypto called T King.
Yeah, and it's like paying, like he's making the profits from it, the gains from it that he's getting, like he's paying his legal fees. Yeah.
Oh, so it's Joe's crypto. And oh my god, are you kidding me? I can't. Oh my god, this shit.
It's funny stuff there.
I wonder if Max invested in that stuff yet.
He probably has. Speaking of business, though, here, did you give James Garrettson jet ski company a 1-star review?
How the fuck
was that
you know? How did you know?
God. Well, I've seen, you have a knack of doing that.
I thought, well, wow. Now you're just
spammed a lot of people, in the dork reviews and the Mac and Goo reviews,
God, I just wish that people didn't know already. Like, so have you? I mean, before you going out me, yes, my username is fuckgoo 23 100%. So I'm not proud of it, but now you guys all know when you see that username. That's me. So I'm not going to apologize for it, but I will own it. Yeah. But yeah, that was really funny. Like how petty. So the people who like are crazy, like, look, we obviously loved the original, right? It was amazing. It came at just the right time. You've hit on it before perfectly. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the people who just became obsessed with this thing, like not even just the businessman that you were just asking about, and then John Phillips, and they go and do all this crazy shit. It's like everybody else who just can't get enough of it. It's mind blowing. It really is. And actually, you know what? I'm curious how you feel.
And they show in the beginning, right? Like everyone, all the Halloween costumes and all the videos and everything. Like it really did. Like the virality of it was crazy.
Yeah, and it's definitely the first season is absolutely a must watch. I think for anybody, whether you're an American or somebody who's looking to learn about America. Like this is as bad as it gets right here. Like this is kind of what
pretty good.
So I'm curious though. So obviously this is a documentary. Like this, the way that this is shot, the way that this is all cut up is very impressive, top to bottom. As much as I had my frustrations about having a little bit too much of the Carol Baskin stuff because like the way they talk about Don Lewis, whatever. But when you look at this, like, do you ever? Because like with documentaries, it's obviously like a piece of journalism, but then also this is teetering on reality TV too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's journalism or if they're just looking for like he said, she said type of like sensationalism,
Thank you.
like journalism adjacent,
The,
far adjacent.
the second season. What about the first season? Do you feel like that's also the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask Doc Antle, who I'm wondering where he is at this through all of this. I mean,
Maybe
he
we saw it
says
once.
it's all hearsay, and that's all they're asking for. It's like, good local town drama.
Yeah,
And I think there's some, legitimacy obviously to it. And like, it goes back to the animals again are the biggest, losers out of all of this, unfortunately. And there's a lot of truth behind that. But I think when you get into this inner battle of who's set up, murder for hire for who and all this other stuff about, I don't know, everything else, it is just hearsay.
It is just hearsay, but it's. And you actually ask about where Doc Antle is. I know we saw him pop up at the beginning, but I feel like I can't find anything about what's going on with him right now.
I think he declined an interview. I was looking up for it. I think I saw an article around late September that was talking about him, how he declined it and he didn't want anything to do with it because it was all BS. And that's not they weren't looking for true stories. But I also think he's been like indicted by the DEA or the FBI or
that sounds about right.
Some alphabet organization out there for some for some malfeasance and his cult-like activities.
But you know what, Wes? He was a very interesting character from the first season. But another guy who we got a little bit of in the first season,
and his couch,
was Tim Stark, and I know you brought him up, and you got a little bit of taste of him, I think, in the first 3 episodes. But man, you are not ready for the 4th and 5th episodes. Holy shit!
Sounds like a grade A asshole.
Oh my god! It's like I don't know if I've ever seen a bigger asshole, like both in like the literal sense and like it was crazy. It was he just goes so far off the deep end, and I cannot believe how much he's allowed to get away with when it comes to like law enforcement. They just let shit go, and it's just like, what are you fucking doing? Like, I would think if anybody talks to a cop in any capacity like this, they should be in handcuffs. And especially when it's a guy who's under an investigation like this, and basically, I
don't know directly what you're referring to, but my question generally is, like, following the success of the first season, with the amount of time that has passed since the first season had aired, and being able to kind of film and fill in the gaps and kind of be able to be like, all right, what was popular, what wasn't, what should we kind of approach here for the second season? How much production did Netflix have in all of this?
How much, what do you mean production?
Like, how hands-on were the production team in filming this? Do you know what I mean? Like what was staged? What was forced? Did you go? It's a Kardashian. You mentioned reality TV.
Okay. Well, that's pretty fair. I mean, that's an interesting point. But I mean, what? Okay. Well, this is a guy, like, this is a similar situation to Joe and talking about animal cruelty and mistreatment of them and everything like that, where I don't know. I think that is a legitimate question. And I think with Jeff Lowe, that's probably where it kind of makes more sense in the end. I would say, like, maybe
they all seem like showmen, and that's kind of what they are as animal, showrunners. They're putting on a show all the time.
And that's why with Jeff Lowe, I could kind of see that 100%. But when you're talking about Tim Stark, you'll see when I watch it. This guy is like, I hesitate how much I want to make fun of the guy because I feel like he's legitimately unwell. He's a piece of shit in the end, but like he's legitimately unwell, Wes. Like some of the stuff that you hear him say to people, and like the things that he threats and the things that he does too. There's one point, I am going to spoil this one little bit for you, where he's on the run. And it's a video of him that he posted himself. He after he's threatened the next Netflix people, by the way, you see him with the grenade in hand, like he's threatening, like he's gonna take people out. Like he'll go down with the ship, but he's gonna like take everybody else out with him along with this grenade.
That's a good threat. I like that. That's a good strong threat.
Yeah, I definitely got the message across to me. So
I think you're listening to someone after that.
Yep. So I think that it's a fair question when it comes to Jeff Lowe and maybe some of the other people. Not Tim Stark. He's not a showman. He's. I mean, he's not all there for sure. Most compelling character in the series, though, 100%. In this iteration of the series.
Tim Stark, yeah.
Yeah, he just goes so far off the deep end, and he just loses it on people, and he just doesn't. And Wes, like, he doesn't have a split personality or a second. He kind of like does. I don't know. It's weird. Again, I don't want to. I am spoiling things for you, but like he says,
That's
like
fine,
there's two parts to him. There's Tim Stark and there's Sue. And apparently that's what his dad called him as a kid. Like he was a boy named Sue. He called him Sue. And that's
okay.
like his calmer self. And like Sue is great. Sue is awesome and everything. Like his wife married Sue or whatever. But Tim Stark, he's an asshole. And like that's part of who he is. And that's part of who he has to deal with. Sue doesn't like Tim Stark, but that's Tim. So like that's kind of what you're dealing with here.
So interesting. Okay. I like that here. You mentioned compelling characters. I really like the John Phillips lawyer guy who was dressed up like George Washington at The Price is Right. And, like he's holding these press conferences. I love these like, big, dramatic lawyers who are like, I'm going to go serve Carol Baskin and I invite her to go talk to me. And if not, I'm a lawyer. I'll sue you. And I'm like, you jackass. Like, that's what I do. I sue people. Like, come on. But I thought that was kind of funny. The Ripper Jack character.
This is the one I can't wait to hear from you about.
Real. I don't know what his deal was, right? He got his law degree from Google. That's his claim to fame.
Yes.
He says that with pride, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think he has a law degree. Actually, I think he's kidding.
That's a lot of stolen valor, Nick. As an Esquire yourself, you should take umbrage to that.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. This is fucking bullshit. This guy's pretending to be a lawyer when I'm a legitimate lawyer.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know what, God? When people say like Wes is such a good friend, I don't give you enough credit for that. Thank you.
Well, I should say you should contact a lawyer about what you should do, but you know what to do.
I mean, I know that they say you shouldn't
take the law in your own hands.
They say you shouldn't represent yourself as a lawyer, but I don't believe in any of that shit because as much as I have a law degree, I really come from the school of hard knocks, like Michael Scott. So, I'm gonna deal with this myself. This Ripper Jack guy, who's by the way ripping off somebody else's name, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. But real quick about representing yourself, I could just make a quick note about that. See, what I've learned from Mrs. Doubtfire is that you, if you come across that you can't afford a lawyer and that you decide to represent yourself, that sometimes the judge and/or jury might have pity on you.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. I'll play that card too.
That you're trying to do this here, but like, hey, listen, listen, Your Honor. Okay, I don't have enough money for a lawyer, but what I do have is a little bit of love and a whole lot of love for my son. That's all I'm asking you for to do. I want to see them. Like that's.
I'm gonna play that.
And then you have your big courtroom speech.
I'm gonna bring that card too. I'm gonna use all that. I won't tell him I'm actually a lawyer.
Yeah, you jot it down.
Yeah, I like that. This is great. This is you're gonna be my legal counsel now. I'm gonna start. What's your rate?
For $30,000, I will sit behind you and then read the newspaper slightly, and then maybe kind of look down with a furrowed brow every few moments.
It's still cheaper than Gata doing cameo for Dork, so works for me.
Oh, that's true. That's a callback to Arrested Development, I believe.
Oh, okay. I have not.
I think it's Arrested Development. I think that's.
But seriously, when it comes to Ripper Jack, I thought, like. I don't know how Wes is going to feel about this guy. I want to say, gun to my head, he's going to like him because he's doing all this sleuthing and he's like, I don't want to give this guy that much credit, but like, I can't think of a better analogy. He's kind of like he's a legitimate detective on the internet and he's going and doing all these different shit. Legitimate's not the right word, but you get my point. I thought you might like this guy.
He's more legitimate. Like he takes himself seriously. He puts time and effort into it.
Right. I thought you like. I know you always say it kind of sarcastically, and we try and spoof on different people. But there are some times where you like some of the stuff that pops up. So I thought you might like Ripper Jack.
Did he have a disability of sorts?
I think he had a cane. I think that's what it was. Physical disability.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. Okay, because I thought I kind of remember it, but I wasn't sure if I was conflating it with a different show.
No, that was it. He absolutely had a cane.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. I just wasn't sure about that. Ripper Jack, though, not a fan of the Ripper Jack fellow.
Good, I'm with you 100%. This guy stunk. I mean, like in the end, it's like he's saying like, oh, this, we can't. And this is where I got kind of down on the Don Lewis stuff. Like Give us the background information. Very interesting. I understand your point about reliable and unreliable narrators and everything. That's a fair point. But in the end, it's like, this is a cold case. And as somebody who's been a juror on a cold case before, it's kind of hard to figure this stuff out in the end and prove it wrong or prove it right, whatever. Prove that like a certain individual carried out the act. So it's just like, this guy's like, oh, we're going to figure this shit out, whatever. Oh yeah, we got this. And then it's like, in the end, no, you're not doing anything. You like, the detective saying it is one thing because he's kind of able to get in the weeds like out there, but you're just sitting behind your desk. Like, there's a limitation. You can do it now, like maybe on like if somebody got murdered right now, you could maybe do it. But
like get a life, man. Like log off.
Thank you. That's really what it comes down to. Start
it's the same thing with the guy who was running, for Joe Exotic's pardon. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life, man? Like, don't you have family? Don't you have kids to go see or something?
Yeah, I think that's actually that's very true. It's the same thing. It's pretty bad. I mean, the lawyer at least. Well, I think that. I don't know. Yes, I think that's a fair point. Either way, these guys are
because the lawyer at least is trying to get paid and he's doing a job to, that's kind of like all transparent. But these guys, like, what are you getting out of it? Like, you're trying to get like internet clout.
So when you look at this, I'm going to add this exit survey question kind of on the fly. If we were trying to get one of these people on the show as a guest to ask them a bunch of questions, right? Unpaid, who do you think would be the easiest person from all of Tiger King, whether it's the first season or this season? Like, is there a certain individual that you think would be easier than anybody else to get on this show?
Unpaid?
Unpaid.
I think if you paid, you could probably get that James Garretson guy, but I don't know what his price would be. Okay. I think you could definitely get James Garrett. He has a price. He can be bought.
He can be bought. But all these people got to be over $1,000 at least, not $2,000.
I would say like some of the lower level people from like the Joe's cat studio, cat ranch.
Yeah, the zoo, GW Zoo.
I think the zoo. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Saf would probably be the easiest one in the end of it all.
I was thinking that she seems the most chill. She's like, yeah, I'll talk to you.
Mm-hmm. He. Yeah, I wasn't going to correct you because I wasn't entirely sure. But
I thought I was there. I got it there. Yeah,
got into my head is he.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also think like the campaign manager, like maybe the Dylan Passage husband there. Like I think those guys could have been some of the people on there.
I think Dylan Passage would be tough to get on. I think that guy's like he's just as bad as anybody else in all this.
He's just ready to move on. Yeah, he was a fame whore.
What a dumbass that kid is too. Like. I can't.
He actually seems like kind of normal, but it was funny when they were talking about his product line, and it's like, what is butt lube or something? Like it was, and he seemed surprised that it was only for butt lube.
Yeah, you couldn't eat it or something like that. Yeah, that's what he was thrown off by. I'll tell you what, I just want Joe to come out so we can go like scorched earth on everybody as fast as possible. Just have somebody with a camera with him at all times and just have him lose his shit on all of them. Whatever.
Just give him a Twitter account, just like it'll be like OJ. I'd come join in Twitter after, and he's like, I'm just gonna come in and say shit.
But the thing is that in the end, like where we start the show off, this episode off, it's like, well, how do you feel about did we need this? At some point, Tiger King will run its course. Like
it has. I think it has.
I like this second season. Like, I think most people would have thought coming into it, and even myself was like,
but it's not going to have the virality or even close to like no one's like really going nuts about it, right? I feel like mainstream.
Not like last time, but I still think there's room. I think people will still be interested in the third one. I like this one. I thought you did too. Like it was well done. I'm glad we have it. But
I bet there will be if we know like Stranger Things has 3, 4, 2. Goes on for so long. Big Mouth seems to be going on. Although I think Billy is really enjoying the season. I haven't given a watch yet, but we've seen Netflix really try to draw blood from the stone.
Yeah, I just wonder with Tiger King though, like where is it end? I kind of feel like Joe's going to get a very small taste of it. Like he'll go and do his appearances and all that, and people will pay for that shit for sure. But when it comes to like his shows and stuff like that, he's going to get a very small piece of the pie in the end. Like he's just not like for what he could have gotten if he wasn't in jail.
Oh yeah, it's too bad. I mean, he'd really cash in on this. So
yes,
it's too bad.
And Alan Glover is saying it. He shouldn't be in jail. Unreal.
Well, all right. Well, yeah. Maybe
Unreal.
Biden, get Biden to pardon him. You know.
Do it when Kamala Harris has that like one day where she has the presidential power. When Biden's getting his colonoscopy. Hey,
Oh, that just happened, right? That was in the
fuck.
2 hours. Just let it happen.
Oh God, we missed the window. Shit, we
I
should.
know that's could have been all shit would have hit the fan at that point.
Okay, see now this is when you say before you didn't make those puns on purpose. I'm not believing you anymore.
It's the tone of voice, you know it when I say it. I feel
Of
like
course.
I know it when I say it.
All right. Does that wrap up the exit survey?
I think so. I think I'm definitely going to give episode 3 a watch. I don't know if I'm going to finish it all out there. Well, for the Alan Glover stuff, right? I got to see the Alan Glover stuff.
When you see the Alan Glover stuff, you absolutely will. Because then when it goes into Tim Stark shit too, it's
That's
pretty
right.
freaking
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay. So I'll definitely finish this. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely gets better as it goes along. As good as the Don Lewis portion is as important as that information was. But anyways, we're turning into the discharge depot now.
Yes. All aboard. What
you been up to?
Yard and housework. We're about like 99% done with the kitchen. So I did a lot of caulking. Rocked out with my caulk out all weekend,
Okay.
So all we have left is really the backsplash to put in. I did a
Nice.
whole bunch of yard work, a whole bunch of leaves. I love it. Like I don't know if this is something like new house feel where like that will wear off, but I just love doing work around the house. It feels great. But I also been listening to while I was doing all that yard work was the It's Always Sunny gang is doing a podcast. It's Rob McElhaney, Charlie Day, and Glenn Howerton. They're doing what is supposed to be an episode by episode rewatch, starting with episode 1 of season 1. But they don't really talk about anything like that. It's just them kind of shooting the shit. So it's funny. I enjoy them kind of hanging out and having a good time.
I think you get them shooting the shit, or you get them recapping those episodes like on a rewatch sort of thing. Either way, absolutely. Yeah, you know what? And that's something where would you pay for that if they did that and like they charged money?
No, I wouldn't pay for podcasts.
Okay, but they must have advertising on it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Okay, yeah, because that's something that would be like it's a
they don't even sound like they really want to do it. Like they have to be being paid or forced to. Like they don't really sound like they're like, what do you want to talk about now? We have like 5 minutes left to kill. like what'd you do this weekend?
Okay. Well, that's
which is what we're doing right now. So
yeah, it is. So then I guess I'll move over to mine. So if I mentioned at the top of the show that if you've listened to our show since our WBSM days, this is way before the DSG, back when Tim was our resident guy in the chair. Wes talked about a movie that came out in 2018 and spoiled the ending for me a little bit. And it was
a remake of a remake of a movie.
That is also a good point. Now, I had said I wanted to see the movie, but he did spoil the end of A Star Is Born for me. And I went and finally watched it this weekend. And I'll tell you what, even with you spoiling it for me, friggin' outstanding movie. Oh,
did you know that part was coming?
I did. I remember. I always
made it all the more worse, like because you knew it was coming like that.
Yeah. And honestly, Wes, like I know you say, like you joke how like you don't cry, right? You never cry for anything, pretty much. You came close. Was it last year?
That one came really close with the dog.
Okay. Yeah, with the dog at the end. I cried. I'd set the over at 4.5, over under at 4.5 on how many times I cried. I want to say
heavy movie.
Oh my God, it was, and I love the music too. Bradley Cooper. I actually legitimately downloaded some of the songs he sang at the and it was so good, and it was so sad, and it was at the same time too. Like, obviously, Bradley Cooper has a lot. His character has a lot. It was Jack Maine has a lot of issues, but in the end, like he's also a really good person in a lot of ways too. And it's really interesting. Like, I guess that paradox with the character in himself. So I really enjoyed it. I would recommend that to absolutely anybody.
I can't believe you waited this long to see it. You're a country guy. This is a country movie.
I know.
Dave Chappelle like stars in it.
It's just one of those things where like it's speaking of like looking at yourself internally and all that kind of stuff. I have to look at myself sometimes because it's like there are certain things that I really like and I just won't do because I really like it, and it's like I know I'm going to get sucked into it. It's like video games. Like I don't talk about video games. I know Shime and Doc and Davey do all their video games. I fucking ripped that shit when I was a kid like a maniac.
Oh yeah.
So like it was like to the point where my parents had to make like a rule on limitations, like how much I would play video games. Like,
Yeah, well, that's what most parents do with kids.
okay,
Like, you got to put rules on kids. So, yeah, they
fair enough.
play, they
Okay,
rot their brains out.
but I was absolutely nuts about it, and I've like stopped myself. Like I don't necessarily need to go back, but like, and I do it with comics. Like it's like I'll have like one comic I really want to read, and these other ones I want to read too. But I'll read all these other ones and then wait till that really last one, and then it's like I can't do it. I'm not right. I'm not okay. So it's just I did that with A Star Is Born, 100%. Great movie though, absolutely outstanding. Couldn't It's on HBO Max for those who are trying to figure out where to watch it.
All
So
right. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad I didn't ruin it for you too much here. But you mentioned Bradley Cooper. Love that opening song. The opening song that he had when he's out there on the Coachella stage. Amazing. Great song.
so good. I went and there's definitely I actually had Outlaw Country on my phone that I didn't realize I didn't realize that I did. And I like Outlaw Country is I like it. You go to a type of bar where they play that kind of stuff and it's good. I don't have a lot of it on my phone. So I'm like going back though and trying to find some new shit because that's what that character does. And
I could get into Outlaw Country.
yeah,
That feels like Americana.
Yeah, there's some real good shit in there, and the really good storytelling and all that stuff. Honestly, Bradley Cooper shit. Some of the songs he sung in the movie was like,
I
damn,
think
like
Lucas Nelson wrote a lot of the stuff for him.
okay,
Who was Willie Nelson's son.
okay.
I think it's either that or Chris Stapleton. I'm not sure. Maybe a combination.
The surprise with him and his brother, because I don't want to spoil anything for everybody though. But when I found out who like him and his brother, I was like, well, did not see that coming.
You love that, right?
Yeah, that was a nice touch. But good to know about Willie Nelson's kid. I'm glad you knew that because I want to find more stuff that he wrote because it's a lot of it's deep shit for sure.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Love it.
All right, it is now time for
This Week in Lore Shared Universe.
So we mentioned Ghostbusters Afterlife starring Paul Rudd, the sexiest man alive. Also, Wes's not favorite actor of all time, right?
Well, he's up there though. I'll tell you, he's not my favorite actor, but I enjoy his work.
I don't know who your number.
I enjoy
one is.
Paul Rudd the person.
Right.
Yeah, I don't care about the actor. I enjoy Paul Rudd the person.
Okay, fair enough. Dork is going to be talking about that movie, which did well with audiences, but not necessarily with critics quite as much. But I think
what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Mac and Goo is doing a holiday tier list, which Wes actually kind of already talked about with the Thanksgiving stuff, right? The People for Communism podcast, I think they are setting up a rally, like an anti-Thanksgiving rally that they want to do outside of Faneuil Hall.
Hate.
Yes, a lot of hate from that podcast. I still don't know why they're in the DSG. I think they're barely in the DSG at this point, but we kind of like Rossi, despite his.
We're using Rossi for his Kowloon connection.
That's. Yes. Great call. TLDR again, Joe is talking Robin this week. I think Robin issue 8 is actually out this week. And then I'm talking X-Men 92, which is set in that X-Men, the animated series world. So really excited to talk about that. And then Hot Guys on Hawkeye starting this week.
I think it's going to be Friday. I got to hammer down a time with Gooks. I think it's the 24th is Wednesday.
Yes. The 24th is Wednesday. Yep. Because it's Wednesday.
Oh, so maybe we will do it Wednesday then.
Okay, nice. Either way, as long as it's not on Turkey Day, you're fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not Turkey Day. No. But I think we could do it on Wednesday. So we'll be getting 2 episodes there. So very excited for that.
A lot of bird talk this week. I expect that to be a portion of your show, by the way.
Oh, maybe we could have a segment of bird law.
Yes.
I like that. Maybe we can just go over there and just have it read something about birds.
Yes.
Maybe the plopping piper.
Either you start every episode with that or you end every episode with that. Something.
Well, maybe we'll pepper it in.
You know what? It's your show. I'm just glad I could help give an idea in some capacity. Let's see. I've heard it both ways. Season 3, episode 12 of Psych. Of course, I did the movie special last week. New content for the Psych Boys, the Pineapple Boys. So happy for them. And then, of course, Doc, you can follow him on Twitch at Batcracker. You can find Shime, as Wes mentioned earlier, at Shime Time on Twitch. He's back doing Twitch, and he'd been taking a break for a bit. And then Davey is doing his stream. All his video game streaming is only on the Dork YouTube channel. I have not checked what we have scheduled out for next week. Do you?
We don't have anything scheduled. I think we're TBD. I think we should think about doing something holiday related though, as we're in the holiday season.
Yeah, we're getting close to. We've already done a gifts episode, so we did it last year. But yeah, I agree with you. We need to figure something out.
maybe Christmas music tier list. I don't
Ooh.
know. I'm thinking out loud here. Maybe we can formulate that at a
Yeah.
later date.
We'll leave everybody else thinking TBD, but you and I will figure this shit out for sure. So
Beautiful.
until next week, then.
Same bat time, same bat place. What?